In this twist tutorial, you'll learn how to fold the three-fold mixed depth hexagon twist. So this is called three-fold because there are three directions that are the same, three other directions that are also the same as each other, but those different sets of directions are not the same one to the other. This twist has a triangle hole in the back, which is interesting for something that has 6 pleats going into it. And we'll be using a 12-fold triangle grid on a square to fold this twist. This tutorial is part of the Summer of Twist series, which means that there is a welcome video that will teach you how to fold this grid if you are not familiar with it. And there are also previous twists in the series, like the open hexagon, that will be helpful in folding this three-fold mixed depth hexagon. So let's dive into the twist itself. We'll be folding without pre-creasing in advance, and then I'll go through the crease pattern as you'll see it in Origami Tessellations both on the front and on the back. And then at the end, I'll recommend a video for you to watch next to practice this twist in a repeating pattern. So let's dive into the twist itself. I'm going to mark the center of my paper, and then we're going to be drawing on the pleats that are coming into this twist, setting up each of those pleats, and then solving, letting the paper solve for us, the flat foldable solution. So I'm going to start by drawing a mountain fold 1 grid spacing above the center point. I slightly rotated my paper, so this is a grid line going out to the right. And I'm going to have a valley fold 2 spaces away from that. Then in my next grid direction, I'm going to have my mountain 2 spaces away. And my valley fold 1 space away from that. Rotating, I'm going to repeat what I did the first time. So mountain fold 1 spacing away and valley fold 2 spaces away. Rotate, repeat the second direction, mountain fold 2 spaces away and valley fold 1 space away from that. Rotate, repeat the first direction, mountain fold 1 space away from the center, valley fold 2 spaces away from that, and last but not least, mountain fold 2 spaces away and valley fold 1 space away from that. So this is our setup for this mixed depth open hexagon twist. And I'm going to start by picking up a mountain and folding it over its parallel valley. I'm going to pass that to my left hand, then grab the next direction's mountain, lay it down on its respective valley. You can see that the little segments of mountain fold in between these are 1 in, 1 out, 2 in, 2 out, and then we'll cycle through repeating that pattern. So 1 in, 1 out with the next pleat, 2 in, 2 out with the pleat after that. 1 in, 1 out. So these are the references I'm looking for if I haven't drawn on the paper. 2 in, 2 out. Now, once we have everything in place, those 2 in, 2 out bits can kind of pop down a little, and I'll make it jagged so you can see it better. And those can become one in, one out, one in, one out. So it's the same thing, just a little closer to flat. And like the open hexagon twist, in order to squash this, we need to press from above. And we don't really need to worry about those pleats lining up all exactly in the right place. They're not going to sit nicely. So if we bring this back up, they are not really happy being there until the center is squashed. And so when we finish, we'll have these short edges and these long edges. We can use a bone folder to get everything flattened very firmly. And now we have our threefold mixed depth open hexagon twist. And on the back side, we have that great big triangle with 3 grid spacings on each side. Interestingly, we have a great big triangle outlined by the projections of mountain folds coming into the twist. That is 3 spacings on each side. This is not a coincidence. This will be true for pretty much all twists, except for the hybrid rhombus twists. And generally twists with notches. So your hybrid square, hybrid hexagon, hybrid rhombus, those will not follow this rule, but for everything else, what you outline with the projections of mountains is what you're going to see in the open hole in the back. So back to this twist in particular, if we open it up, let's take a look at what the final crease pattern actually looks like. So I've erased all of these projections of mountain folds into the center. That ends up flat. And what we've added are these new fold lines that are going perpendicular to other grid directions. And making this great big irregular hexagon. So when we think about hexagons, sure, we might know intellectually that it's just a shape with 6 sides, but we typically think of the regular hexagon that has all sides and angles exactly the same. This has been stretched out in these 3 directions, pulling those other shorter edges further apart from each other. And specifically, these edges are twice as long as these edges, which corresponds to these pleats being twice as wide as these pleats. So that's what the threefold mixed depth hexagon twist looks like on this side. On the opposite side of the paper, which you will also need to be able to recognize if you're folding from crease patterns, we see much the same thing, but everything that was mountain before is now valley. And I'm going to go ahead and mark all of the valleys on this side before marking those mountains that finish the pleats. So you'll want to be able to recognize both sides of any given twist when you're folding from crease patterns, like the crease patterns in the Summer of Twists ebook, which you can find a link to in the description below. So this is the back side. You can recognize that it's the back because the central polygon is in valleys. So when we see this in a crease pattern, we want to flip over to the other side to find our central polygon in mountains and find our 1 in, 1 out on those short edges, 2 in, 2 out on those long edges and build up our twist one pleat at a time until we've got the whole thing and can squash it flat. So often it needs a little encouragement if you've got it set up fully as 2 in, 2 out to get into a nice state and then collapse down. You'll run into these twists in broader origami tessellations when you have a double depth pleat intersecting with a single depth pleat at a 60-degree angle. So this is typically a good solution if you have patterns that use trapezoid twists. So it's commonly seen alongside trapezoids. You can practice this twist in a longer tutorial in this video, and this twist shows up all over the place in my Advanced Twist Techniques and Tessellation Garden resources, which you can find links to in the description. Happy folding, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.